Hey, Brian here with worshiptutorials.com. This is a FAQ video in our series of frequently asked questions, and today I'm going to talk about picks and strings. And I get this question all the time. What picks do you use? What strings do you use? And initially when people would ask me this, my first thought was like, it doesn't matter. Whatever. But I thought about this for a while, and I've come to realize and believe that these picks and strings, one, are highly subjective. So what I mean is like, there's no like, this is the best pick or these are the best strings. It's really up to you, the player, what you like. But I'm going to kind of talk about my journey with picks and strings. And I guess the other thing is about picks and strings is they are, They really shape your experience on the guitar. If you think about guitar, you think about the things that you interact with the most are the neck of the guitar. I believe the neck is probably the most important thing on a guitar as far as the feel of it. You have to love the way that neck feels because that's your main point of contact. But other than that, your fingers are on those strings all the time, and you are holding that pick at all times. So yeah, picks and strings are important. I used to think like, whatever. But I'm just going to talk to you today about my favorite picks and my favorite strings. I have been on a journey with picks, let me tell you. I used to like thin picks. I find the longer I play, the more I practice, the more I develop my skill with guitar, the heavier pick I like. And I feel you can be a little more nuanced with your playing with a heavy pick, if that makes any sense. If you strum really hard all the time, a heavy pick is probably not good. It's just going to feel, especially on electric guitar, it's going to be really muddy. On acoustic, it depends on the guitar, but I feel like a heavier pick allows you to get more dynamics, but if you're just starting out, I think lighter picks are better. And when I talk about how heavy or light they are, picks have a millimeter rating, which is just how thick they are. The other thing about picks is my hands kind of sweat a lot, so I like picks that either have grips on them or are a little bit sticky. And so these Dunlop Tortex picks, I like the green ones and the yellow ones. The green ones are a little thicker. They're 0.88 millimeter. I used to play with like a 0.5 or a 0.62. And I've kind of gradually gone up in thickness. So this is a 0.88 millimeter. I usually use these on acoustic pretty exclusively, and I'll talk about why here in a second. And then for electric guitar, I either play these Dunlop picks. They're called Max Grip, and I'll show you a picture here in a little bit of these three picks. But these are Dunlop Max Grip, and I like these dark gray ones, which are 1.14 millimeter. I used to never play with picks that thick, but I like it on electric guitar because, like I said, you get a lot more. You can dig in a lot more and get more dynamics out of it. But sort of the cream of the crop, my favorite pick is this Herdim pick, Herdim. I believe I spelled that right. They are made in Germany. They are nylon picks. They come in three colors. They come in, I forget the thinnest one, but the red one is the medium and the blue one are the thicker ones. And I like the red and the blue ones. And these are kind of famous because they are the picks that the Edge uses from U2, or at least he used to. I should say too, these Herdim picks are a little bit harder to find. There's a website called stringsandbeyond.com that stocks them, and they're also a little more expensive, but in my opinion, they're worth it. So the reason I like these different picks for different types of guitars, here's the picture of the picks, and so you can see the texture on the picks. The green Dunlop pick does not have any texture, but it is kind of like it's not slick, so the finish, it sticks in your fingers when you hold on to it. It's a little bit sticky, kind of a matte finish. The gray Dunlop pick and the Herdim pick, the red pick, have different kinds of textures on them, and you can get different sounds with them when you use them. So I'm going to demonstrate to you these different kinds of sounds. Now, if I'm just going to strum with the non-textured end, so the texture is there so you can grip it, but if you use the textured end to play, you can get some interesting effects. So I'm just going to play like You hear it more with like single notes. So here's with the smooth end. Okay? And if you turn it around and you use the textured end, it actually grabs the string and it gives you this sort of sound. Bradford Mitchell, who you see in these videos a lot, describes it sort of as a ripping Velcro type of sound, and I think that's a good way to describe it. But I'm going to do the same thing with the textured end. Textured, here's smooth. That was smooth, here's textured. So you can definitely hear the difference in how it kind of bites and has that sound when you hit it. Now I'm going to use this this Dunlop pick, this gray pick. I'm going to do the same thing. Smooth, textured. In my opinion, you get different levels of that effect. Now, if you look back at that picture again, I'll put it back on the screen. You can see that the texture is a lot finer on the Hurdon pick, the red one, and on the Dunlop pick, it's a little more coarse, and it doesn't cover the whole. It doesn't go all the way to the edge of the pick. So, in my opinion, these Hurdon picks are sort of the best at getting that kind of that sound. And I'm going to demonstrate the reason. Now, there's a reason I have this guitar here today. And it is because it's a Strat style guitar. And we already talked about the edge using these kind of picks, but I'm gonna show you why. So I'm gonna play a little U2 for you, and you're gonna hear exactly what I'm talking about with this sound. And you'll hear like, yeah, that's where that sound comes from. And like I said, the reason I'm using this guitar is because it kind of sounds like a Strat. And that's what that's what the Edge from U2 plays on this particular song anyway. So here it is with the coarse side of the pick. All right, here it is with the smooth side of the pick, and you're gonna notice it doesn't sound quite the same. Okay, coarse side one more time. So it's definitely a difference in attack. That's where you hear the sound that this pick will give you. So, like I said, Hurdon picks for electric. I also like these Dunlop picks. They're a little easier to find. I found if you're running out of picks and you have to go to like Guitar Center, you can get these, but you can't get these. You have to order these online. And then I like these Tortex Dunlops for acoustic. I found that the grippy thing doesn't really do much good for me on acoustic, personally. I will also say though that just using the back side, like the side that you normally grip with a pick, it is a thicker surface typically, especially on these textured ones, and so you can get, it's like using a thicker pick as well. And you find that with most picks. So if you're playing with a pick and it's kind of thin for you, try turning it around and playing it backwards and see if you like that a little better. So I like Elixir strings. A lot of people don't like them. The reason I like them is because they do last a lot longer than most strings. So the Elixir has two different kinds of strings. They're nano web and poly web. And when they talk about web, they're talking about an actual coating on the string itself. So I believe they use Gore-Tex, at least they used to. I don't know if that's what they do anymore. But poly web was kind of like the first ones that they put out, and the coating is kind of thick, and the nano webs are a thinner coat. So you don't feel the coating as much on the nano webs. I don't mind the feel of it. I actually think it makes them feel kind of nice. They're kind of smooth feeling, smoother than maybe normal strings. But they are coated, and so they don't rust or corrode nearly as fast. They say last 3 to 5 times longer. I'd say from experience, that's the truth. They do cost significantly more. You're looking at like $12 or $13 for a pack of Elixir acoustic strings. and that's, you know, maybe 2 to 3 times more than non-coated strings. Now, I have tried other brands of coated strings. I've tried the D'Addario coated strings. I've tried the Martin coated strings. Theirs have been the worst in my experience. The D'Addario ones, I don't know. I like the Elixirs. I keep coming back to them. I seem to break fewer of these. I used to break a lot of strings. If you're breaking strings a lot, it's typically not the string's fault. It is the guitar's fault. But pay attention to where you break strings. So if you're breaking strings on the bridge a lot or the nut a lot of your guitar, that means the string is catching there. On acoustic, it happens more than electric, but it means the string is catching, it's not allowing it to vibrate, so you might have to take your guitar to a tech and have them work on the nut and or the saddle. Nut or saddle of the guitar. I should talk about string gauge. I use 12s. I think they're called lights on acoustic. I've tried mediums, 13s before. I don't know. I never thought they made much of a difference, so I like 12s. I just kind of keep coming back to those as well. For electric guitar strings, I like these 3-packs of D'Addario strings because they're cheap, and they're pretty decent strings. If you play a lot of electric guitar and you like to change your strings a lot, these are kind of the go-to, I feel like. This thing will cost you about $15, but you get them on sale for like $10 for 3 packs of strings. Not bad. And I do like too how the ball end of them is colored, and so it's easy to know what string goes where. But that's a little thing that doesn't really matter that much. For the gauge of electric guitar strings that I like 10s. I just like the way they feel. I like the way they sound. I've tried lighter strings and I've tried a little heavier, and I don't really notice much of a difference. But I don't know, something about the 10s. It's what I started playing when I picked up electric guitar. It had 10s on it, and I think a lot of times I think that what you learn on or what your first experience is kind of is what you like to gravitate toward. It feels like home. So that's it for me. I like D'Addario electric guitar strings. I do like Elixir electric guitar strings a lot as well. The coated ones, they do last longer, in my opinion. And they just feel better longer. If you have a lot of guitars so you might play one for a while, and then you might have a guitar that sits for a while, and then you pick it up to play it and put it back in rotation or whatever you do. I find that these can they corrode a little bit, so you pick up a guitar, especially if you played it and you didn't clean it off very well and you put it down and then you come back to it a few weeks later, those strings typically feel nasty. And if you have Elixirs, they don't feel so bad. So that's what I like for strings. So since we are talking about strings today, here's a tip for you when it comes to string changes. I love this little thing by Planet Waves. It is a string winder and cutter in one. So it's just like a typical string winder on this end. You know, you grab it and you can loosen your strings up. You can also grab the end pin of an acoustic guitar with this little guy. But then when you're done changing your strings, you got like a little wire cutter thing on this end. I have a couple of these. I keep them in like every case that I have or bag. I have one of these with me at all times, as well as a few changes of strings in case you break one. It's always good to have extras. So yeah, that's my tip for you. I like this little thing, and they're not too expensive. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have other strings or picks that you like better, and you have a great reason why, tell me in the comments. If you have a question for our frequently asked questions series here at Worship Tutorials, please ask in the comments or head over to worshiptutorials.com. Leave a comment there on this video, on this post, or send me a message through the contact page. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.